Hello, it is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time USA. That's 15:30 Eastern Time USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. Today we're talking identification numbers, free market economy, and I had one other thing I wanted to talk about. I'm sure it'll come to me. So some housekeeping, as I said. The Kohler Porsche is in Florida now. Casey Kohler is going to register that Porsche to his Florida home. So that'll be a reference point in the Florida DMV, that high dollar ignition system, which probably gets classified as an F-16 jet fighter in the corporate communist computer landscape, will be in Florida, parked at the house most of the time as a reference point, but taken out more regularly than it was in Conneaut Lake. The other thing I wanted to talk about was that Hillary did book her flight to Korea. She booked on United Airlines, and she's kicking around upgrading to get a little bit more leg room using her miles. Alright, well, this is my crisis plan that I filled out with my therapist. Don't talk about that too much. What I do want to talk about, interesting stuff came in the mail. This flyer for the Pittsburgh CLO orchestra came in the mail, addressed with our address to a Volodya Morozenko. Maybe a Russian agent to look out for. I might try to Google that person's name eventually. I don't believe they've ever lived in this house, because I know that we bought the house off the people that built it. Their grandfather built it. It's all the same name. So how that got registered to my address, my street address, I don't know, but the address is correct, and we have a interesting person registered to it. Okay, this Magellan Roadmate GPS direction system. It was in my basement 2 days ago. It was on my first floor yesterday. In the basement, it was acquiring signal. On the first floor, it acquired the signal and located it at my address. Today, I'm going to put it here in front of this computer. I'm going to plug it in. I shut it off so that it does not shut down after 20 or 30 minute delay. I said never. I left it on overnight, and this morning today it is shut off. So it does shut off and time out after 24 hours or something like that. Now I can't get it to turn on. There's something with the power switch. It doesn't turn on sometimes. I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to leave it sitting here on this desk. Hopefully it turns on. Either way, it'll be plugged in as a reference point for the satellite systems. After tomorrow afternoon, evening, I'm going to move it to the third floor, the attic, which is a living space, but it's not finished, so that the weakest possible signal from satellites can ping off of this thing and not penetrate deep into our house. Right? And, you know, for those of you following along out there, we might want to set this reference point as coordinate latitude 0, longitude 0, and the hope is that we can track all satellites that cross over this point, directly above this point, and log those so that I can have a lawsuit against the owners of satellites, so I can say you flew over my airspace and now you owe me royalties for whatever type of price gouging, information technology profit you made off of flying those satellites around, right? So this will shut off in my attic. I'll forget about it, but I'll go up every once in a while and try to turn it on. Either way, it'll be plugged in to a viable power source, and it'll be up in the attic. Alright, so I want to talk about the NRA. I received a letter from the NRA. I received a 2023 membership card, a letter from Wayne LaPierre, a propaganda letter about how they're going to gun confiscation, take our guns, right? Now, I was a member of the NRA way back early in my engagement to Hillary, and I didn't buy the membership. I never contributed to the NRA. Casey Kohler bought me a membership to the NRA as a birthday gift or a Christmas present or something. I got the stickers, I got the magazine. I put one of the stickers on the side light to my front door as an anti-theft strategy. So that sticker's still up, I believe. It says I'm an NRA member. Anyone trying to break down my door knows that I'm an NRA member, right? But I'm not. I only had that membership for a year, but I was surely put on the list, right? And I've thought about renewing the membership because it says you have access to their meetings, and as a journalist, I may want to have access to their meetings. So don't judge every member of the NRA out there, right? Because they might be a journalist just trying to have access to these meetings. The other thing I'll say is that I received this membership before all of the corruption in the NRA, back when my father-in-law thought that it was a legitimately good organization for political lobbying, I guess, if you're into that. Anyhow, I want to show you the membership card because it's all about numbers for these supercomputers, right? We all get a number, we're all put on lists somewhere, and I'll get into that. But here's my membership card, there's my membership number. I'll read it. It is 210462960910868. Now we can cross-reference that with another number I was given. I contribute to the Wounded Warrior Project every year. So here's my 2023 membership card. And that member ID is 6179743577. So a couple new numbers for the supercomputers to tag me as, to see and cross-reference how those numbers are used throughout various consumer spending tracking agencies and things like that. Alright, some interesting mail, covered that. So what I want to close with talking about is an honor system for firearms and a free market economy, right? So I wrote the treaty. It deals with pistol duels and wrestling matches to solve disputes as dispute resolving strategies, conflict resolutions instead of deadly wars, right? And here's what I put out there on some social media. I don't know if you follow me on social media. I said to Elon Musk and to Gavin Newsom, basically I said, perhaps if there was an honor system for firearms, there would be less senseless killings, right? And that's why I wrote this peace treaty. That's what I'm trying to do. An honor system, a system of honor. This is the honorable thing to do. If you have a dispute, challenge the leader of that country to a pistol duel. Don't send a bunch of 18-year-olds in to fight your wars. Challenge them to a non-lethal pistol bullet duel. We don't have the paintball guns right now, but we have rubber bullets, as my friend Bill Earl suggested. Rubber bullets will work just fine. Choose your weapons and have a pistol duel. Roll the rubber bullet in chalk if you need to make sure that they hit the kill zone, so on and so forth. Right? The honorable thing to do. If leaders would take up this honor system, it would trickle down to the rest of society, and they would try to resolve their disputes in a similar fashion, or at least be honorable in their day-to-day lives. So that's what I want to say. And to the military personnel out there, you know, let's try to establish an honor system so that we don't kill people. Right now we just train police and military to kill upon command. Train them with deadly weapons to kill and to follow commands from a bunch of corrupt politicians that use the media and their own pulpit to start deadly wars and continue to push them. Alright. The other thing I've talked about on social media is and on here is a free market economy, this concept of a free market economy. Right? And corporate communism, I'm putting that out there. The United States is a corporate communist nation. It's capitalism at its worst. It's corporate communism. And the idea is that a free market economy, now these corporate executives, these millionaires, these billionaires, they say they want a free market economy, but to them, free market economy means free from regulations. They don't want more laws or regulations in business, right? Now my argument is a free market economy cannot exist without the free exchange of ideas. The idea that people can exchange their ideas freely, or as close to free as possible vis-a-vis a public utility like the telephone service we had, where the cheapest rates were available to exchange ideas. So what we have now, since 1980, 1990, is privatized telecommunications, privatized internet, privatized data, privatized cable. All the means of exchanging free ideas are owned by private corporations who capture these ideas and sell them to other corporations, capture the ideas and keep it for themselves. All these corporations that are corporate communists keep the good ideas, break them down into 20-part segments, and release them a little at a time as slowly as possible to take every last penny from every hardworking American out there. Instead of just putting out the best possible idea right off the beginning and then watching it and saying, oh, here's a couple things we could improve, but overall that was the best idea we could put out at the time. That's not what corporations do. They sit on the ideas, they sometimes buy them up, but they really don't need to buy them up off inventors or idea people anymore. They can just steal them. They can acquire them and capture them because they own all the communication systems. It's corporate communism. It's not a free market economy. Free market economy means there's a free exchange of ideas. And you can say, well, you can put a flyer up on a bulletin board anywhere and that's a free exchange of ideas. No, the free exchange of ideas should be on the best communication systems possible. So we live in a society where these corporate communists have convinced you that you can go public with anything on social media, right, on the internet. You can go public with anything, post it publicly, but really only 20 of your closest friends see it. It doesn't go out to the public. And that's the con that they're passing off, is that we do have free exchange of ideas, but really these social media companies capture ideas and keep them isolated and don't put them out onto the public mass media. Right? And so that's why I pay for websites. I pay $150 per website per year to put my ideas out on what the closest thing to the public internet we have, but that doesn't even exist. And that's not a free of exchange of ideas. I have $600 worth of websites to get all my ideas out there. Not all of my ideas. I have a bunch up here still that I'm waiting for someone to come along and say, I want to put capital behind your ideas, even if you want to make them non-profits. They're good ideas and they need to happen. Right? So we don't have a free exchange of ideas. It's not a free market economy. Go to your parents with that and say free market economy means free exchange of ideas, not less regulation. If you just want less regulation, you're a corporate communist using catchphrases and sound good words to promote your own ideology. The only way that we would have a free market economy is if the internet was a public utility and telephone was a public utility. And not just any public utility, a transparent public utility facilitated by direct democracy of all of its customers. And you may say these customers aren't going to engage, they're not going to take time out of their day to listen to meetings and stuff like that. Well, I live in Pittsburgh, there's 300,000 people here. Even if 10,000 people like me that have enough free time to get engaged with this, even if 10,000 people took it upon themselves to oversee the public utility, that's a lot better than 10 people, right? And we could develop things. You could use AI to take minutes of meetings, right? To scan through meetings and just give the highlights. My point is that until, and I'm not saying that it should be a nationwide public utility like M.A. Bell. That's where people got afraid of it because it was a huge nationwide entity, and then people were getting warrants, government was getting warrants, and people were being spied on and things like that, and that's when it transitioned to privatization. Each city, each county can have its own public utility, and I detail a plan for this in the Bunica tab on trafnet.org, where we combined a public utility internet and a public utility electricity company, cross-train the pool workers so that they can facilitate both systems. And as I've said on here, we pay for internet what little cost it would be if it was a public utility. We pay for internet with our solar energy production, and takes our bill down to zero for most people. So again, if it was a public utility like the telephone system used to be, you had to get a warrant to tap somebody's phone line. And that's the way it should be. If it was public utilities for internet, data, even cable, you could require these corporations to get a warrant to gather any information on a consumer. Instead, we rely on companies to develop software like apps that allow us access to these privatized data and information systems, and in exchange for using their software, we click into a privacy agreement that gives up all our privacy, says they can spy on us and see everything we bought or sold. Right? That's not the way it has to be. If we demand a public utility system, then the government could require warrants for all corporations to gather any information on an individual, on a citizen. And that's the way it should be. But these politicians, with my new plan of driving to all 50 states, these politicians will try to put the cart before the horse. They'll try to implement a warrant-based system, right? A system requiring all corporations to get a warrant before they take any information, gather any information on someone. They would rather implement that system before the public utility system. I think they go hand in hand, and I wouldn't let them do it, because that means that they're trying to protect themselves from wiretaps, not the American public. So that's my spiel for the day, basically. If we had a public utility system, it's owned by the people, and the people could require consumer agencies, corporations, web developers, technology companies to require a warrant if they gather information, store information, create a profile, a dossier, anything on any individual. They need a warrant to do that. The information sharing system, the internet, is a free exchange of ideas. It's publicly owned and operated, and if you want to take information off of it, store it with some type of motive of gathering information on someone, then you need a warrant to do that, right? Even if they own the platform. You could put limitations on what they can store, what has to be eliminated and erased and deleted, so on and so forth. Alright. So again, tell your grandpa that he's a corporate communist and that a free market economy means free exchange of ideas, and we haven't had that since there was a public utility telephone system back when you were a kid, Grandpa, right? Did you grow up with a public utility telephone network? Well, that was a free exchange of ideas. Back then, we were a free country. Now, we're run by a bunch of corporate communists. What are you going to do about it? I'm not afraid of them. I'll stand up to them. I'll challenge them to duels. Right? But if you're not going to write me a letter, write me a check, call me on the phone, I'm just a lone actor out here with an audience of supercomputers and artificial intelligence, and we can't act without more support from a human base, right? So thanks for watching, and join me possibly tomorrow when I figure out, I'll probably talk about something else. And I wish you peace, prosperity, and homeostasis.